evening. I am very happy to be here. I represent the College of Business, and this is a topic that's very, very close to my heart. I grew up in a developing country, South Africa, and when I was, during the period when I was growing up, it was apartheid. I was one of the young people who helped to change South Africa to a more democratic society. And one of the leitmotifs that we had in our student democratic movement was a saying that South Africa would be free when women in South Africa could participate equally in the society. And I'm very proud that South Africa has actually achieved that. Not only women, but other minority groups as well. And it's my hope that one day the countries that we see in turmoil in the Middle East today, that the young people, and particularly the groups that have always been outsiders and the oppressed in those countries, will be able to achieve that democratic ideal as well. So without further ado, I am going to introduce first just a very brief sketch of the country, given that some of you are students in classes and given that I happen to be a professor, I feel kind of compelled to ask the question, where is Bahrain? Okay. Actually in between two kind of gulfs, right? And so what did you guys know before this evening about the country? How many people live there? Approximately. About 1 million. It's actually a very, very small country, about the size of, 4 times the size of Washington, D.C. I know that Joanne's group have actually prepared some facts about the country. And, I didn't know until last week or 2 weeks ago when I spoke with Joanne about this evening very much about the country. And quite honestly, I felt very ignorant and humbled, really, by the facts about this very small country in the middle of the ocean there. Very high literacy rate. Can you guess what the literacy rate is? It's about 100%. How many other countries in the world can actually be proud to say that? Very highly educated. And I think probably as you listen to the presentations this evening, what you'll discover is that actually all of us here in the West tend to think of people who live in other countries as very undifferentiated. But, when you start to look at the detail, you discover that there's quite a lot of diversity there, even within the very small country of Bahrain. I know that the 2 individuals that we have this evening represent the Bahraini Women's Association. The organization was actually started in 2001. It's a non-profit. It's been in existence for 10 years. And the aim of the organization, earlier I spoke with our 2 speakers, and they informed me that they're actually not the only women's organization in the country. They focus a great deal on children, the exploitation of children, the exploitation of particularly children who may be vulnerable in society. They also have a focus on green issues. And, this delights me because very often, I know that often when I speak in classes to do with gender issues, that sometimes the male members of my classes think that, we've gone out of the 1960s, we're now in 2011, and really these gender issues are no longer important. Well, not that they're not important, but that the age of feminism has kind of almost come and gone. And no, they have not. Today, we're really focusing on issues that have to be solved through collaboration, men and women. So I see women's organizations, particularly in a society such as the one that we are going to talk about this evening, as really vital potential bridging organizations to help us solve some of those other social ills as well. So without further ado, I am going to allow the two speakers to introduce themselves. They each have prepared a short presentation, which I hope will sketch the role of women in the Middle East and will touch upon issues of culture and religion. And then we'll open up for discussion, because with all of you here, you've been extremely patient. I think to talk at you would be absolutely wrong. So we're going to allow this to be very interactive. And I'm going to try and stand aside because the technology gods are not smiling on me tonight. I'm going to try and stay out of the way and simply moderate the panel. So is it Saba? So let's start with Saba. If you could do your introduction, and then we'll come to your colleague.
First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Joanna for inviting me in here. It is such a pleasure for me to be between you all. And it is a good opportunity to be with the young generation, especially during this period. She wants me to talk about myself, but I'm not used to talk about myself. I will say that very, very short sentences. My name is Saba Al-Asfour. I am civil engineer by profession. I got master's degree in engineering management, and I am the president of Bahrain Women Association. This is a voluntary job. This is what we do it in our spare time to empower women and children in the society and try to improve type of life. I think this is it. But I am saying that it is very important to me to be here with you, especially in this time, because I am sure most of you heard about what is going on in the Middle East, the protests and demonstrations in most of the Arab countries nowadays. These days, all these protests is started through the young generation. Most of them are of your age, are a little bigger or smaller. But the advantage of this, that nowadays we know that how powerful the young generation is. You owe me an apology. I am sorry, because I used to underestimate your abilities before that. But we think, not only myself, many people of my age who are 24 plus, and we thought for some time that this generation lost identity and they don't know what to do and they don't know how to achieve their goals. Either they follow us or they will never get anywhere. This is what we thought, and you proved us wrong. Thank you very much. We know that now we know you have secured the future. You know how to do it yourself without any guidance. I am really proud of you all. Thank you very much for giving me this information. And unfortunately, I did a presentation, and first of all, I wanted to show you where Bahrain is on the map. This young man said that it is in the Arabian Gulf. Some people call it Persian Gulf. It is between Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Iraq, and very close to Qatar. It is a very small island. It is about 750 kilometers square, 290 miles square, and the population, the latest population, is 1.3 million. 82% of this population are Muslims. This is in brief about our island. It is an island surrounded with sea, but we do not see the sea because most of the areas, are private properties. Now we want to talk about women issues in Arab world. We did a survey. We took a sample sample of children from the kindergarten and asked them, how do you see your parents at home? All these children, their mother, both parents are working. All of them all of these children draw the mother either washing, cleaning, and do the household, and the father either watching TV or doing his office work at home or going to the office. So typical, stereotyped, even if the mother is working, either employed or self-business. I got some of the drawings, the pictures, the drawings in here on my laptop, but unfortunately you cannot see them. And we have one cartoon here, there in Arabic. You know, when we ask people, how do you see the woman? They will tell you she's a wife or a daughter or entertainer or a cook or whatever. All the answers are about her roles and duties. Nobody will say she is a human. And it is not only in Bahrain, it is everywhere. I tried that anywhere else and I got the same answers. So, you know, when anyone look at a woman, they look what is her role in the society, not as a human being and what she wants. Why she is there and what she wants and what she wants to achieve. So this stereotyped image or perspective, how does it affect on the status of Arab world? We will look at it from 4 different aspects: educational level, political and economical level, and some other aspects as well. When we talk about educational level, I'll give you some facts. You know, there is a positive and negative side. The positive side, lots of effort have been done to improve the education in the Arab world. Some of the countries like Bahrain, the education is 100%, especially for 25 years and below, and even above that, you know, it is very high percentage of educated people. The female are achieving very high score, more than male, and there is less dropout rate of school through girls. And nowadays, most of the girls are getting very highly educated through universities, either in Bahrain or outside Bahrain. Most of them are getting very, you know, at least they got a degree after school, either diploma or something, but most of them do not satisfied with the high school level only. The negative side of it, it's the 29% of illiteracy in the Arab world. You know, in some areas, the uneducated women maybe reached 60 to 65% of women, especially in Morocco and Yemen. So, you know, and usually the illiteracy, you know, when we talk about it, mostly it is through women more than men. There are some reasons, definitely, after that. I have some statistics in here, but I cannot show them to you. It shows that the average of educational level between women, you know, and compared with the other world. So we are moderate, you know, we are not the least and we are not the best. Some of the countries are less than us or equal to us, especially South Asia and the other developed, less developed countries are equal to us or even less. And there are some educational challenges, you know, for women. Why do women do not get the same amount of education as men or as they want? The most important reason was the poor economic condition because of the poverty. It is very difficult for a poor country or poor areas to educate their people. Either there are no schools, or if there is a school, they cannot afford getting their children there because they want them to do the work. And if they get the money, they prefer to send the boy rather than the girl, because the woman, in the end, she will be a household. No need for her to work. So why to spend money on her for education if she's not going to use that education somewhere else? This is, again, a stereotype. And plus, there are low working opportunities for women. If there is a chance for a job, they prefer a boy than a girl, because definitely they will think that one day she will get married and she will have children and she will be excusing from the job to take her child to the hospital or to stay at home, whether he is sick or she has other duties to do. Always this perspective to the woman that she won't be committed to her job compared with men. There are some quotes from teenage girls, really they are very nice, There is one girl, she's 19 years old. Most of the young girls are unable to continue their education career as their parents are unable to afford its expenses. And it is a fact in some places. They cannot afford the education, not because they don't want their girls to educate. The other one said, she is asking the government it should be compulsory to educate girls. And the parents should be encouraged to send their daughters to get education from schools. And this is their wish, this is what they want. But in the reality, it is difficult to achieve this. If we talk about political participation, throughout history, women to get a political position, it is difficult. When did women started to participate politically? It's in the 19th century, in the middle of the 19th century. This is all over the world. So the Arab world is part of it. We are not aware of this. And we have 10% of women participating in politics in the whole Arab countries. And it varies from one country to another. For example, Lebanon was the first Arab country who provided this opportunity to women to participate politically. It was in 1952. And some other countries the women are not allowed to participate in politics, and even not to get a sensitive position or higher position in the government, like Saudi Arabia. Women are not allowed to be ministers or to be undersecretaries or whatever. They are not allowed to. But in other countries, they do, and it varies, the amount of them, it varies from one country to another. Bahrain, for example, 11% of the ministers are women. We have 2.5% parliamentarians. We have 27.5 senators and 7.6 judges. This is in Bahrain. So we are not the best and we are not the least. There are challenges for women to participate politically. Again, male-dominant society, that is one of it. Women should stay at home. Why to bother herself with politics as long as somebody else can take care of it. And the one more thing, that this is the government's role. Usually the government appointed the elite women in the society in the sensitive positions. And this is a cosmetic for the country rather than empowering women. And it is happening everywhere as well. It is not only in Bahrain. If they want to appoint somebody, that we say, look, we have leaders as ladies. We put them in a leadership position, and just to give a good image for the country in front of the world, not because they believe in her abilities. And especially, they will be based on the loyalty to the government itself. These women, most of them are loyal to the government rather than what they believe. And let us talk about economical participation now. In the whole world, women are occupying 67% of working hours. And they form 10% of income and 1% of property owners. This is all over the world. And the Arab world is part of it. The women do not own more than 1% of the properties. During 1990 to 2003, there was incredible increase in the economics all over the world. The Arab women participate in this, and the increase was 17%. In fact, in that period, the participation of women economically worldwide, 3% only. This is an achievement for the Arab country. But if you compare it to the world, still we are the least. We are not exceeding 33%. خلاص? Again, unfortunately, I don't know how long I was used to have. But anyway, there are some achievements. We did many, many achievements. We have women are participating everywhere. We have pilots, we have engineers, we have judges. And the last year, 4 women won seats in the parliament in Kuwait at the same time with voting without any تعيين شو اسمه بدون التزكية. There is one word I cannot pronounce it. Yes, exactly. Thank you very much. بدون تزكية بالانتخاب. for women. For women win seats in the parliament in Kuwait, and that was really very big achievement for the whole Arab countries, not only for Kuwait. And thank you very much. I didn't want to be boring, but this is what happened. Thank you very much in general.
Well, good evening, everybody. And it's really my pleasure to be with you this evening with the youth, as my colleague Saba mentioned. And I really thank you for coming after the long day in the university. And I know, although it's a long day, but still, I really appreciate your coming with us. And I'm afraid also that Saba just talked about some achievements, and unfortunately I will talk about the challenges, which make it difficult also. So we have three main challenges facing Arab women as a whole. It's the government policies and legislations, inherited social customs and norms, and the third is misinterpretations of holy scriptures. I'm going just here to mention the government policies and legislation. I will talk about some government policies, which these are considered as they are contradicting with the constitutions. There are reservations on international convention and universal declarations. The absence of political will and discriminatory law and weak justice system. In all Arab countries, we have an article which is similar in every constitution, which stipulated that people are equal in human dignity and citizens shall be equal in public rights and duties before the law without discrimination as to race, gender, language, religion, or belief. But regardless of constitutional guarantees, women throughout the region face legal forms of discrimination that are systematic and pervade every aspect of life. I'm going to skip many slides because I have limited time, and I will shed lights on some discriminatory laws in Arab region. First of all, the nationality law, and this is very important. In Bahrain and also other Arab countries, the mother, when she is married to from non-Bahraini, she cannot give her nationality to her children. And even her spouse, he cannot also grant the nationality. And also he needs to be sponsored by his wife or his employer, so the employer, so that he can stay in Bahrain. When I say that these children are not citizens, this means that they are deprived from healthcare services, higher education, permanent residency, political participation, lands right, housing facilities, and employment. So you can imagine now how petty to have these children who are born in Bahrain or in other Arab countries, and still they cannot enjoy the citizenship rights as citizens. The second discriminatory law is family law. And gender inequality is most evident in personal status codes, which relegates women to an inferior position within marriage and the family, declare the husband to be the head of household. There are many problems with this law in all Arab countries, because under this law, a husband is allowed to divorce his wife at any time without a stated reason, but a wife seeking divorce must meet very special and onerous conditions. There is also many consequences after divorce, like custody, alimony, housing, and it's all not in favor of women. It's all in favor of the father or the husband. Now, what I would like to emphasize on is that Islam has nothing to do with these practices. and doesn't adopt these things because it's completely different than when we have in the religion. We have 3 pillars for any marriage life: respect, love, and mercy. But these are not applicable in many cases. The domestic violence also is another discriminatory law we have no specific legislation criminalizing domestic violence. So if any wife wants to go and for the police center and report for her violence, then there is no punishment for her, because they said he is your husband. And the punishment for rape is life in prison, but spousal rape is not considered a crime. And the labor law, I will also skip this one because my colleague Sabah has just stated about there is a difference in the wages between men and women, and also some constraints facing the women in this regard. The freedom of movement, maybe the Gulf countries, they are unique in this, especially Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, because they are not allowed to, for instance, in Qatar, to obtain a driver's license, Qatari women are required to have permission of their male guardian. In Saudi Arabia, they don't drive cars, and they cannot travel on airplanes or outside their home without a guardian's permission, and the same applies on United Arab Emirates. The political participation is still also, all Arab countries, the women there have the right, political rights, except in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and United Arab Emirates. Now, the civil society is also another issue, because all NGOs in Arab worlds, except Lebanon, are supervised by the government, and no freedom of assembly and association. All public gatherings require government permits, and all funds and donations from foreign entities are scrutinized by the government. But we believe that sufferness delivers achievements. And that's why the reform in Arab world is driven by civil society. And I have just a few slides about some success stories in this regard. For instance, to amend the nationality law in Arab region, we have the Arab Regional Nationality Campaign with 7 Arab countries, and our goal is to amend a specific article in nationality law which allows the mother to pass her nationality to her children if she is married to non-national. And fortunately, the result of this campaign, regional campaign, 4 countries now have changed the law: Egypt, Algeria, Tunisia, and Morocco. So now 4 are there, and we will be, inshallah, in the upcoming. The family law also, there are many campaigns in different Arab countries to develop and improve these laws to be less biased to men, and to give more rights for women in this regard. In Bahrain, we have one-eye family law, because there are 2 sects in Bahrain, Shiites and Sunnis, and unfortunately we have just released family law for Sunni sects, but not the Shia. So that is one eye. Political rights campaign in Kuwait, it's extended more than 10 years. And lastly, in 2005, they have the right for political rights in Kuwait. I will shorten this. The NGOs laws, there were many recommendations given from international organizations to Bahrain and also other countries, which says that the government should permit the formation of independent women NGOs and allow them to work with international organizations without government interference. And well, we benefited from this recommendation and we applied it, and that's why we apply for the consultative status with the United Nations, and we are now the first NGOs in Bahrain, or not only the first, the only one in Bahrain that have the ECOSOC status with the United Nations, and we celebrate this occasion. And also we implement this ECOSOC status by also going to Geneva and having the universal periodical review there about Bahrain, to tell them what happened in case of human rights status in Bahrain. So they said that behind every great man, a woman, and I don't know why women always should be back or behind. Why not close or side by side or in front of that? And we said that behind each challenge, an opportunity exists. And we really thanks our governments and all the governments to give us this chance, so that they are challenging us. And from this challenge, this create an opportunity for us to advocate and to campaign and to work harder in order to achieve more and more. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, so a very interesting introduction there, and I'm going to throw this open to the floor immediately. I believe that we have some microphones, right? So if we could have you put your hand up, and we'll bring the microphone to you so that we can record and so that we can obviously also hear what your question is.
Hi, thank you so much for being with us tonight. My name is Marina, and I actually have a few questions, but I'm going to limit it to two. Your discussion with us tonight has been very informative. The first question I have is, when the first speaker began to talk, she mentioned that the coasts on the island of Bahrain are not seen by the population. Can she expand a little more on that? And the second question I have is, she also mentioned that she is a civil engineer. Does she hold a job within civil engineering?
She does indeed. In fact, earlier I did ask both speakers to elaborate a little bit about themselves, because I know that I was so intrigued. I wanted to know about them, as I'm sure you want to. So if you could tell us maybe a little bit about your background.
As I mentioned, I am civil engineer by profession. I got my BS degree from Bahrain University. I started as a site engineer on the field through men. I was the only lady there as engineering job. At the beginning, it was a bit challenging because it was not accepted for them to be led by a woman. But it didn't take long. They get used to me, and it was fine. After that, I developed. Now I am a director in the municipality. I am a director of civil في المunicipality خدمات فنية. Technical Services Director. I'm Technical Services Director now. I have 230 employees under me. Many of them are engineers. And now I got my degree in 2001. I got my master in engineering management. So, we can study anything we want in Bahrain. We don't have any restrictions on that. Nowadays, the opportunities are less, especially for women. Because, with the economy that dropped down, the opportunities are getting less for the whole graduation, especially for women. So, we can hold the job. It is not, there is a discrimination between men and women. It is there, but we can get. There is nothing stops us from working anywhere we like. There is a lack of law because, some of the jobs are women are not allowed to work, especially in the night shifts, unless they are doctors and nurses. So if there is a chemical engineer and she needs to work during the night, she is not allowed. That is why they do not hire chemical engineers, women chemical engineers. There are some restrictions, minor restrictions, but in general it is. And you ask about the costs. We are an island. The costs are there, but not as much as we say that it is an island. You expect that to see the sea everywhere. It is not. There are public costs, but in general there are many costs which are owned by private sectors, and it is forbidden to people to be there. And it is part of the economy and the policy. If they merge together, this is the result. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Daniel Palmer. Obviously, right now, women are playing a huge role in the movements that are going on in the Middle East. Do you see this as potentially the beginning of an equality movement within the region?
I think the question, if I can rephrase it, is given what is happening in the entire region, what do you perceive to be happening to the status of women as the political change is unfolding? Do you think that this might lead to changes to the way in which women are, the status of women in society in the entire region? Do you want to take it?
Well, certainly, because these changes will lead to more reforms and more democratic reforms, and this will allow women to have more chances and also to achieve equality between men and women in regard to her rights and her roles in the society. So definitely it will be in favor of women's status in Arab world.
I would like to add. The Arab countries, when they were occupied by the British or the French, when women started to participate politically during that time to be liberated. And they liberated the country, but they did not liberate themselves. Now I think they learned the lesson. This time they won't let it go. Even during the political campaigns which were happening, they were making advantage of the women votes, but they were not elected by the political parties. They were not nominated, but they were only benefiting from the number of votes of women. Now I think women learned the lesson, but they learned it the hard way. They won't let it go anymore like this.
In fact, I think that's a very interesting question. I don't know if any of you have studied what happened during the War of Liberation in Algeria, but women actually played a very prominent role in the liberation of the country in Algeria against the French. In the same way that we see political movements in other countries, women usually participate as very often as equals, but similar to the Second World War, you saw a movement of women into the liberation movement, and then after the war, women were expected to go back to the kitchen. So, it's no different to what happened in the West. Just on that particular point, as I was reading through some of the facts that you provided me about the country, perhaps one of you could speak about the role of the French and the British. You just touched upon that. Many of the laws that we make an assumption are there because of Islam might actually be there because of the countries that colonized some of these countries in the past. Would that be a correct assumption?
I don't think
No?
so, but I can.
Yeah, if you could speak to that.
The laws we have, it is all heritage, cultural heritage. It is nothing to do with the Islam, and it is nothing to do with the occupation of other countries. Usually, every country has its own culture, but the women are suffering from discrimination all over the world, and it is the same discrimination, whether it is in Asia, Africa, or America. It is the same discrimination, but with different hats. The Arab world, women are discriminated twice. Once because they are women, and the second because they are doing it with the name of Islam. And what we are doing now, from Bahrain Women Association, we are highlighting some of the issues which Islam is accused by the discrimination between men and women with these names. And we highlighted them, and we are trying to solve them to the community. We are raising some campaigns, awareness campaigns to modify these mistakes. By the way, tomorrow you are all invited. We have an event for this regard in particular in Church Center, just the opposite side of the UN. It is at 6 o'clock. We are highlighting some of these issues and the way we could modify them. If you are interested, you are most welcome to come and join us, at least to see what is going on. I think if I answered your questions.
Yeah. Do you want to?
Yes, I would add this. Yes, as my colleague just mentioned, that these laws, the origin of these laws are not from Islam, because like the House of Obedience, they are applying it in Bahrain and the other Arab countries, which is not existing anywhere in Islam. It has been taken from French law, and also Egypt is applying this. And they are forcing the wife to come to her husband's house, she is obliged to live with him in this regard, which is not in Islam. Unfortunately, it is we don't have enough time to talk about what the core and essence of Islam's and respecting women's right from this regard, and how women and men from the beginning of the creation, they were side by side and not behind and front of each other. They are side by side, and they have the same goal to flourish the earth, and also to carry on working towards development and prosperity of this earth. But unfortunately, with the succession of ages and generations coming, the women have been kicked out from the circle of influence, and the men just centered there, and she has been left in the house and dedicated to this role only for motherhood and housekeeping and etc. While the man has engaged in more work outside the house, and that's why in political and in economical activities, and they said, no, you don't know anything about it. We know better than you, because they have the chance to be out there.
Okay.
My name is Saeed, and thank you very much for the presentation today. My question from the speakers is that should people be scared of Sharia law, in particular to the women's rights? If you could please elaborate a little bit on that.
Hello, my name's Mina as well.
Mina.
And I just wanted to know if you could give us a time frame of when you see women to be at an equal pedestal as men as well, because you talk about them not having the freedom of movement. When do you see women being able to fly without a man's consent, to drive and have a driver's license? When do you think this will happen? Because, I mean, tomorrow never comes, does it? So, yeah. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Namrata, and thank you very much for being here with us. The discussion is really informative. And I would just like to ask, are there any exceptions, like women belonging to elite families being a little bit on a higher level or escaping the discrimination at some point? Or is it like for all the women just the same?
Well, I will respond to about the Sharia law. Yes, what is existing nowadays in courts in Arab countries, it's really horrible. And it has nothing to do with Islam, as I have mentioned. Because in Bahrain, because we don't have family law, therefore the judge will just give his order from different aspects. He has no codification or reference so that he can have his opinion in this regard. So this makes the woman always the broken wing in this regard. She will lost the custody of her children, the lack of alimony, and they will kick her out from the house, etc. So all what they claim that this is Sharia law is not right. That's why we are striving just to explore the essence and purity of and justice of Islam. It's not because of women's rights. It's for the sake of all the human beings. It's not only men. It's not a matter of men or women. And that's why, if you are asking about the time frame, it depends on how much work we are doing and how persistent we should do, and how we believe in this, that one day it will come. Before 2002 in Bahrain, women lack also women's right. But after that, with more efforts and pursuing our goals, everything could be happened.
Mina was asking about time frame. There is no time frame exactly. It depends. 50 years ago, a panel like this was discussing the importance of women education in Bahrain. Now we are not discussing this anymore because we have much more issues to discuss. So everything is changing, and even the issues are changing with the time frame. If you give a time frame for the education, there should be another time frame for another right, like driving and flying. And for example, in Bahrain, we do not need any male permission for a woman to get a license or to drive or to fly alone. But in Saudi Arabia, they need it. So how strong the NGOs in Saudi work, they will get their rights. Definitely there will be change. Maybe it will not be so fast, but definitely it will be. And it depends upon the issue and how strong the NGOs, how much people do they believe in their abilities, and if their goals are clear or not. Now I think it will be faster than before after what happened in Egypt and Tunisia. Now the people know how strong they are. They didn't know that they have these abilities just few months back. Now they proved, the Tunisia and Egypt, they proved to them how strong they are. So definitely there will be many changes in the coming few years. The last thing about the elite families, people from the elite families, it depends upon how strong the regime is. If there is a real democratic regime in the country, this discrimination won't happen, not even between men and women, and even elite or non-elite families. So the people always try to manipulate the law, and they will find a way out, whether they're elite families or not. If they are from elite families, definitely there are much more ways easier than others. So it is everywhere, not only in the Arab world.
Hello, my name is Ken, and my question is, how are foreign women treated in the Middle East? Could they wear suits, hold jobs, and start businesses, and how does that affect the population and good things for them and stuff?
My name is Imran. You said in your speech that Islam has got nothing to do with the backwardness of the women in Arab countries. Now I want to ask then why it is so that women in every Muslim country are back. It is not only Arab world. It is in South Asia, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Iran, even in African Muslim states. Why they are backward everywhere?
Good evening. Thank you very much for being here. This is a most stimulating discussion. I'm curious as to the attitudes of the young men in Muslim countries. Many of these horrible things that happen even in books that are written today, you know, describe the husband as a philanderer and one that can be adulterous, but yet the women must always be loyal and faithful. What do the young men today, men who are 16, 17, 18 years old with the internet and everything, do they still cling to these types of traditions, or do you think there's hope that perhaps when these young men get to a point where they can make some influence and perhaps be a force for progress, do you think there's some optimism there?
There are so many things in here mentioned, you know, about hijab, and you know, this hijab is a decision. It is a self-decision. It is not compulsory anywhere in the Arab world. It is a tradition in Saudi Arabia, for example. It is not by law, but it is a tradition. If a woman is not wearing hijab outside on the road, she looks odd. And they try to avoid that. But it is a decision. It is not compulsory. And she is free to work anywhere. As we said before, some countries, a male's permission is required, but most of them, as long as she is educated and she has a degree, she can work anywhere she likes without any permission of anyone. Still, I will say again, this scarf or this hijab is a decision. It is not compulsory from anyone. About discrimination against women in the Muslim countries, I mentioned that before as well. Muslim women are discriminated twice. Once because they are women like all other women in the world, and the other they are doing it under the name of Islam. This is the misunderstood of the Quran itself. Because the whole society is male-dominated, and they try to explain everything upon their wish. This happens through history. It is not nowadays. It happens through a very long time. Nowadays, there are so many enlightened people that are trying to reread the Quran, re-understand how it came, and they are highlighting these issues and trying to modify these things. Many people and many men in particular, you know, they take advantage of the previous explanation of Quran to have the control and the lead in their hands, whether it is on a small community or a big community or even a government. It depends on how powerful they are and what position they are looking forward. Whoever have a position or have a power, they will make use of it, regardless who is suffering out of that. Usually, women or children are the most vulnerable people. You know, these are the vulnerable parties. And we are now talking about women issues. And there are some statistics all over the world. Women, if they are discriminated, they do not report that. It takes them 10 years in average to report that. So, you know, if a very open country like Europe and America, it takes a woman 10 years to report. So imagine if a very conservative area, and especially if they are very poor and the women not supported economically, definitely they won't say, and the other party will take advantage of that.
Just to add for your question is that the responsibility of this situation in Muslim countries is for religious scholars and clerks, because they are dominating all the like they are now the guardians for Sharia, the guardians for Islam, the guardians for Quran. They interpret Quran in from their point of view and from their mentality, just to downgrade and put the woman inferior, not beside the man. Other things also is the inherited social norms and customs. Sometimes these norms are stronger than Sharia laws. That's why, responding to your question about the young, the youth or young man, is that yes, he is having a luxury car and elite, and he has high education, etc., and the social networking with this all new networking facilities. But then, when it comes to marriage and how he treats his wife, it's something else, because he is not doing this by intentionally, so that he wants to do this, but he has been raised in this way. His mother and not his mother, I mean all the society has been raised their children in this way, that even for us now we are talking about women's rights. It's something was surprising me when my daughter, she said, I want to go there. I said, don't be late. And she said, what, Mom? You are speaking like this. Why my brother, he is going out and you don't ask him to come early? So I really said, yes, why? Why did I say this? Because it's like by default inherited now. It's very difficult to get out from this. Of course, I was speechless. I couldn't say anything. That's why it takes long time to take this from our mind. That, and it's not only, it's a culture. It's not only in Arab countries. I think it's always that we have this differentiations between roles, so that like engineerings and decision making positions, it's all for men and the other which is low class positions or roles for women. So I think we need a long way to go in this regard, and to work on both these factors or elements, which is trying to have innovative perspective for Islam, and to have coalition also with these religious scholars, enlightened religious scholars and institutions, in order to give the real picture of what Islam is and how it looks from being man or woman, not only with women. But of course, young women is better than the older generation, of course. But they still have to do more.
But I will say one funny story. You know, it's happened the same with me. You know, my husband is very liberal and he's supporting me all the way, you know, since we get married until now. And he has, he very much believe in equality between men and women. One day, you know, he was going to travel, and my son, on that time, he was 11 years old. When he was leaving, he told my son, you are the man of the house now. I said, you know, what do you mean he's the man of the house now? So nobody is doing this intentionally. We have been raised like this. So it is in the back of the head, and these words just come out automatically. So we have to work within ourselves before we have to work outside. So it happens, and we have to be very much intention to at least to know what words are coming out of our mouths during these times.
I find it very interesting about the laws. You say that the laws really come from cultural traditions and not from Sharia law. How influential do you think the scholars of Islam will be in changing the interpretation of the law? Because the perception of the people, just the people in the country, is that those laws really come from Sharia law, right? Although they're basically tradition and have nothing to do with the Quran. So how influential do you think the scholars of Sharia law, of the Quran, will be in changing that perception?
This is what you has feel.
Well, I just want to clarify is that not all the laws are discriminatory law because of Sharia. Because like nationality law, this is political will. Yes, it's from not culture. It's government decision that we don't want to give the nationality to women married to non-Bahraini, for instance. The penal code also, it has nothing to do with part of it. So, but these I agree with what you have said, is that we really need to work on these things, to amend these laws, and also to take in consideration that Sharia laws comes in a certain way, but they have been understood in different way. And the customs and inherited norms and customs enforce this conception. So sometimes the norms are more stronger, and it's not there in religion, but sometimes the norms and this custom is more stronger, has strong influence than the Sharia laws. That's why we are working very hard now, just to shed lights and try to explain that we should go back and see from the beginning. And this is what I will mention in tomorrow's lecture, is that I think that being the woman feel herself like inferior and it's not important and downgraded, it's because of the creation myth that Eve has been created from Adam's rib, and it should be left and broken and bent, curved rib. So when they have this conception, so the woman will feel that she is not human because she is a part, and this little part from the man, which is not right. So it's going back to many generations before, and give this feeling that yes, I am nothing. So and he is the master, and I have to do all this. And we will talk about this more tomorrow in our lecture.
And just a final question. I know that when I met you and we had a brief conversation earlier, I spoke with you about what is really leading to the domino effect that we're seeing across the Middle East and the countries that have been affected in recent months. And I was very intrigued by your response. You know, your response was that it's inspired by a search for dignity. And I thought perhaps you guys could just comment on that, because I thought that really, to me, was a summation of just the profound nature of change that we are seeing in that part of the world.
Okay. Revolutions, when they were happening years ago, usually it happened through the farmers and the workers, because they were suffering from poverty and the bad economic situations. This revolution didn't happen because of the poverty. It happened from the middle class people who are very well educated, and they have food on the table, and they have, a quite good economic life. But what they are searching for, they want human rights, human dignity. They want to get to feel that they are humans living on the world and deserve this the nationality and the citizenship of the country they belong to. They want equal rights, equal opportunities. This is what they are searching for. They are not searching only for food, because the food is there, the money is there, and this is not life. Nowadays, people are not living away and, isolated. They know what human rights mean. They know the channels with the international organizations. Now they know what to do. They know what channel to follow. And if they go for revolution, they want real democracy. They want their voice to be heard by the regime and the governors, whoever they are, at least to get the same opportunity of the other people on the other side of the world. They want to feel that they are equal, they are not isolated, they are not something to be treated on the margins.
Okay, well, on behalf of Fairleigh Dickinson, all the students here, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank, in fact, let me read the name of the organization. It is the Bahrain Women's Association for Human Development. And I think that that really speaks volumes. So thank you ever so much for spending time with us.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.